Vancouver, when I did the last talk, a guy came to me at the break who'd been on the protest at Seattle against globalization, when the agents provocateurs were sent in to cause trouble, which the cameras shot, and was blamed on the protesters who up to that point had been perfectly peaceful. This is what happens, agents provocateurs, problem, reaction, solution. And this is a guy who, believes in Jesus and all that stuff, which if he wants to do that, that's great. But the point is, he wasn't some way out guy who smokes a weed or something and has visions. And he was arrested and taken to the police station. And in the police station, when he was being held down and the sergeant came over, he said the sergeant shapeshifted in front of him, turned into a reptile, and then came back to human, and then shapeshifted again and returned. So then when you talk to insiders, and when you look back at the texts that talk about the fact that this serpent race exists in planes unknown to man, just outside this frequency range, then there is a gathering mass of evidence that this is going on. And, again, people who dismiss it without question, without research, and without reading further about it, they're not making a statement about me. They're making a statement about themselves. The idea that they can come to definite conclusions about something without even looking at it. I mean, excuse me, and you claim to be in control of your own mind. So it's not my job to persuade them. I don't want to persuade them. But the point is, there's a gathering massive evidence to support it. And what I was going to say is, you talk to physicists, and even within this frequency range, this narrow frequency range that we can access, that we call the universe, we can only see about 10% of the matter that exists in this universe. We can only see matter that reflects light. Luminous matter, they call it. Dark matter that doesn't reflect light in a way that we can perceive it, we can't see. So you look at the fantastic diversity of genetics and expressions of life that we can see in this tiny 10% and less of this one little frequency range, then you kind of think outside of this frequency range is infinity. If entities had not evolved through the reptilian stream, when you look at the unbelievable diversity of the reptilian species in this tiny little 10% of the universe that we can see, in this little frequency range, then it's not that it's fantastic that this species could throw up a form that is humanoid and has an intellectual intelligence. It's actually staggering if it...
TV?
We have a lot of different producers. You just get tired of the real meat and potatoes, the real issues. So he's gone for all the ridiculous Hollywood stuff of David Icke and the blood-drinking lizard people. So what does David Icke do? He talks about the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, these global elitists, these power structures, all real, all true, all demonstrated by bills and executive orders and prime ministers and premiers and presidents. All real, meat and potatoes, something you can bite into, something that is easily demonstratable. And then you've got David Icke at the end of all this. He says, by the way, they're blood-drinking lizards. Blood, Al Gore needs blood to drink. So does Prince Philip. I mean, it's asinine. And it's being picked up by people, and so it discredits all of the reality people are talking about. And that's the problem with David Icke. He's got a good line to a point, and then he discredits it all. It's like a turd in the punch bowl. That's his job. He's got this nice big thing, you know, this nice fruit punch, nice ice cubes floating around in it, you know, and then he takes a big dump right in the middle of it, and no one's going to drink out of that punch bowl.
But is he in league with them to do that?
I think he knows what he has to do in a controlled world to get away with what he's doing and be given attention. And he's either a smart opportunist con man, or he's completely insane, or he's working for them directly. But I tend to think he's just a con man who understands how things work and is just a real opportunist.